Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. Make no mistake about it, President Trump does have a plan to deal with the cartels. When that plan will be instituted, I don't want to say is anybody's guess, but I would offer this up. Maybe the plan has already been instituted. Maybe President Trump had something to do with the assassination of El Mencho that has led to this cartel violence and exploding across Mexico now. There was a $15 million bounty on El Mencho's head. This guy was the leader of what is a narco-terrorist organization. Mexico needs to declare the cartels a terrorist organization. But my fear is President Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, is not just a narco sympathizer, but I believe she's bought and paid for by the cartels. This is why she's not letting President Trump use the military to go in with precision strikes and take out these cartels that are literally killing American citizens. And they're working with China to do this. This is a global war on America that's being played out, and the cartels just happen to be the tip of the spear that is infiltrating its way into the United States. So she's hesitant to do that. There is an idea, because technically you're not allowed to send the United States military into a foreign nation, a sovereign nation, to start doing operations there without that nation's approval. This is beyond the aspects of war, right? Because we're not going to war with Mexico. We'd be going to war with the cartels. There are some international boundaries as to why you can't do that. Now, I have said over and over again that you put so much pressure on Sheinbaum that you make her allow us to do that. And that should not be off the table, by the way. If President Trump says we're doing it, what are you going to do about it? What is she going to do about it? The other side of this is something Tim Burchett has offered up, the congressman from Tennessee, along with Senator Mike Lee, is to use hired mercenaries. Former special operators, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, to go in and take out these cartel members with precision type strikes. I'm okay with any of it. And I think all of those types of plans are in the works. But the bottom line is something needs to be done with these cartel members. We have American citizens now trapped in Puerto Vallarta. All right, the planes were not flying in and out of there because of the violence. Now, I go to Puerto Vallarta. I was just there, I don't know, less than a year ago. Punta Mita is a beautiful place. I think Punta Mita is safe, but it's the roads to the airport that are not safe. They're burning Uber cars and tour buses. So that's a real problem. I do believe right now Cabo San Lucas is safe. That's a good thing. I think Cancun is safe. That's a good thing. I mean, as safe as anywhere can be. I'm not one of these people who start flipping out, oh, I'm not going to Mexico. If you look at where the violence is unfolding, it looks like it's in the barrio of Puerto Vallarta. And Guadalajara, which is not far from Puerto Vallarta, this is the Jalisco section of Mexico. That area is cartel controlled, clearly. But Guadalajara Airport had some craziness unfold, but it looked like that was a false alarm. Like it wasn't even really happening in the airport, just passengers freaking out. So this is what the scene looks like. That was Guadalajara Airport. And this is Puerto Vallarta. And what that looks like is a war zone. But what it actually is cars burned in many spots. And there you have the airport. No wonder they shut down. These flying American flights, tour buses burning. So quite frankly, it's crazy. So the cartels need to be handled. They need to be handled now. Let's spend some time going through this to explain exactly how the United States can help Mexico do this, or without even Mexico's help, let's jump in and do this. All right, before we get into that, I want to tell you about one of the sponsors I'm most proud of. I'm proud of all my sponsors, so I can't really say that, but VRAinsider.com. This is a newsletter that'll spell out 10 to 15 positions that you should be holding, whether it's stock market, crypto, precious metals. They'll tell you exactly where to be. They have averaged 35% returns last year. The year before that, 50% returns. Well over 25% returns over the history. And a history is a long history, almost 25 years in business. I have taken about $100,000 of my portfolio and put it in my own VRA Insider little account. I just made a separate account in Fidelity, and I'm now following their system, and I'm already up, and I've been doing this for about a month. And so what I'm seeing is really far better returns than just, certainly sticking it in a bank account. Cash is trash, as they say over at VRA Insider. But here's the best thing. You get a 2-week trial. So you can get their portfolio. And these are like anywhere from 30-day holds. It's not a day trading system. You'll hold these positions 30 days or more in some cases. VRAinsider.com. Go to the website, sign up. You get a 2-week trial. All you got to do is put your email address in there. A 2-week trial, you get access to everything. Behind the paywall, everything for that 2-week trial. VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. Give them a shout. All right. Let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, welcome everybody. So it looks to me like we got a nice little Rumble audience growing here. Thank you for that. Please subscribe to the channel, like, so you get the alerts when we go live. I want to continue talking though about the cartels in Mexico. They have always been a problem. But let's figure out what happens when you back a rabid dog into a corner, or a rabid raccoon, or a snake into the corner. They get very uneasy and they start to lash out. This is what has happened with the cartels. The cartels are uneasy because much of their money has been cut off by President Trump shutting down the border. Where were they getting money? Human trafficking was a huge source of money for them. And think about this. The illegal aliens that were coming here to escape the cartels were actually funding the cartels. If you go under the assumption that many of the illegal aliens were coming just to escape a shithole country, okay, they were paying the cartels to get here, to get them across the border. Now, many of the illegal aliens are associated with the cartels and drug dealers. I understand all that. So that money of paying the cartels, almost everything they own, right? They give them everything they own to get to America. That's been, by and large, shut down. Then, of course, you have the drug trafficking. The drug trafficking has a huge dent put in it. Is it shut down? We'd be naive to think it was shut down. They still have tunnels. They have tunnels in many of these cities that go for miles and miles and miles and come up in people's homes in America. So is the drug trade shut down? No, but it's taken a major dent, especially with these boats coming to the United States as well, getting blown out of the water. So the cartels are on the ropes, which means now is the time to act. This is President Trump on Air Force One.
So Mexico is saying that I offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to take care of the cartel. She wants to know, is that true? Do you think I'm going to answer that question?
That's why I'm asking. We'll see.
I will answer it. It's true. Absolutely. Because they are horrible people that have been killing people left and right, they've made a fortune on selling drugs and destroying our people. We lost 300,000 people last year to fentanyl and drugs. They're bad news. Yeah, that's true. If Mexico wanted help with the cartels, we would be honored to go in.
So Mexico doesn't want the help. Why? I believe Mexico doesn't want the help because Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, is owned by the cartels. She is a cartel politician. And I'll give you proof of that by some of her comments. Now, ultimately, it looks like it was the Mexican military that hit El Mencho. Now, President Trump is interesting because he likes to take the credit. And at first I thought, okay, well, maybe the United States had a role in this, whether it was intel, whether it was using American military aircraft to take out El Mencho. I thought America might have had a role in this. America's denying that. Mexico says, nope, it was all Mexico. That doesn't mean America didn't have a role in it. It only means that Mexico's taking all the credit for whatever political reason they would want to do that for. Now, President Trump, when he has successful military operations, he likes the credit. The fact that he hasn't taken credit for this does lend me to believe that maybe this was a Mexican operation, but I still wouldn't count the American government out on this. I don't think Sheinbaum is going to be eager to bring the United States military in, but she should be, because this is bigger. President Trump talked about the cartels being evil people, killing Americans, very bad people, as he said, making money selling drugs here. All that is true, but I think there's a bigger reason to take out the cartels. That bigger reason is because the cartels are actively working with our enemies like China. China works hand in hand with the cartels. I wouldn't be surprised if Russia had a role in funding some of the cartel behavior. How else do you get something like this? This looks like a military operation, but that is no military operation. That is the cartels. It is a militarized group of narco terrorists. Where do they get the money from that? Of course, selling drugs, human trafficking, but I believe there's foreign money coming into them. China. See them cheering El Mencho? El Mencho. Now, this was before he was murdered, but that's their boss. So I do believe that foreign money is coming into the cartels to fund the operations that are ultimately killing American citizens. To me, that's what makes sense in all of this. I mean, look at that. That's a military force. So how successful would our military be? I don't need to tell you. Yes, that's a military force. Are they going to be as well trained as Navy SEALs? Of course not. Now, Tim Burchett had the idea of sending operators in there, paid mercenaries, hired contractors to go in there. So you send in the best of the best who are retired from the military, but are now working as, honestly, mercenaries. You skirt some international law about being able to go in there. I still think you'd need cooperation from the Mexican government to do that. I'm not sure you're going to get that. I'm really not. Now, this was former Special Forces guy on with Joe Rogan talking about how well we would fare if we did this.
You know, I know these units. I'm intimately familiar with them.
Uh-huh.
Bro, if we declare war on the cartel, like these dudes are not going to understand what the fuck is going on.
No,
like,
of course not.
They are going to be, because God,
you'll
God
stop the
bless those
distribution.
guys.
That's going to be, yeah.
They are in for a world of like ultra violence they've never actually felt before, because they, obviously this is a very capable ultra violent organization. They have fucking no clue. If we organize these tier 1 units against them, this is going to be what I would be doing if I was.
So he says they have no clue of the violence against them. Think of what vile human beings these cartel members are. I just saw a video. I debated whether playing it for you or not. And I thought, you know what? In the end, does it send a message of just how brutal they are? Yes. But was it worth it to play for you? It's, noon on the East Coast. What am I gonna do? They attached a severed head to a drone, and they started flying that drone over the town as a message to the people in it that we will literally lop your heads off. Now, it takes a brutal people in order to do that. I mean, even the mafia in the United States, if you're not in the mafia is not going to be going around killing you. If you're in the mafia and you're in a war with the mafia, well, then yeah. But they're not going and killing innocent people. At least there's a code. These cartel members, there is no code. You get in their way, they're shooting truck drivers in the back. They are terrorists. Awful human beings.
down there, like, I know all those shoe boxes in my fucking, my walls that I'm going to have to collect up. I'd be getting ready to retire right now. That's what I would be doing. Because if Delta Force was hunting me, bro, I would be so terrified.
Is that a real thing that they've proposed doing?
Yes, that is a real thing.
Who proposed that?
I'm almost positive either JD or Trump had said something with the new guy from ICE, like we're going to mobilize Tier 1 units against the cartel. The only thing I thought was like, retire. If you guys got some money, man, I would like put that away, like maybe move.
It won't be pretty, but it could get ugly, clearly. And this is not like going into a battlefield like we did. Well, look, in Iraq, when we took out Saddam Hussein, most of that fighting was on a desert. But it would be more similar to going into, Islamabad and inner city fighting, because you've got these cartel members. They're everywhere. Or in Gaza going after the terrorists. This is not an easy job. It's not like you're going on to a battlefield and it's like General Patton and El Mencho, let's go get them, like it's the Middle Ages or something. This would be urban warfare. But here's what the United States is great at doing. We're great at gathering intel. We're great at conducting precision airstrikes, whether it's with drones or whether it's with our fighter jets or, of course, our B-52 bombers, as we saw in Iran. We're great at that, and we can do some of that. But you would have to send in these units to go, in many respects, house to house, building to building. That's where it could get very ugly. Does America have the stomach for that? I will tell you this. I have more of a stomach for it to go after cartels in Mexico than I do putting boots on the ground in Iran. I could give a fuck about Iran, except for the fact that I don't want them having a nuclear bomb. And I think we can do that with our Air Force. But honestly, putting boots on the ground in Iran, not that that's an option. President Trump isn't even talking about that. But I'm just making a point. Or, what's another good example is Taiwan. Do I want to defend Taiwan? Yes, as much as we can without putting Americans in harm's way. But I have more of an appetite, and not that I ever have an appetite for putting Americans in harm's way, but I have more of a tolerance for putting Americans in harm's way to go after the cartels than I do to defend Taiwan. I mean, the cartels are actively killing American citizens. This is the definition of when our soldiers stand up for the American way of life to protect us, to put their lives on the line. God bless every one of them. This is it. Between the fentanyl, but between the crimes and the killings and the kidnappings and the drug trafficking, the gun trafficking, you name it. This is when I would have a tolerance for it.
Go somewhere. Yeah, buy a restaurant. Like, try to go legit. Because,
go legit.
Dude, if those guys are hunting you, by the way, like, you're done. You're fucking done.
And it's a weird thing that's going on right at our border.
It's a
strange. Weird thing. Because it's so close to us, and it's so ultra-violent and dangerous, and it's just completely shaped the way the entire economy of the country works. They have so much power and control, and it's a criminal organization that is almost entirely, at least, funded by us, by our desire. Trump declares war on cartels. President-elect said notorious crime syndicates and drug kingpins will never sleep soundly again once he launches his plans to tackle the issue.
I've thought about this for a long time, where I'm like, if they turned loose Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 on cartels and pedophiles, we could just kind of like erase the problem in about 2 years.
Look, you want to talk about a war on drugs, don't make the war be on drugs. Be the war be on cartels, the ones pushing the drugs. I mean, we can have all the education we want in the world. We know that by and large, there's a large portion of our population that are addicted to drugs. That's bad. Stems from lack of family unit in America. It stems from laziness on behalf of Americans. It stems from an inability to cope because we're raising wuss bags in America now. We really are. We're raising wuss bags. That makes them more susceptible to falling victim to drug addiction. I I mean, if we start raising strong men again, you think strong men get addicted to drugs? No, we're raising wuss bags. So you can handle that as much as you want, but you're never going to get a full control over that. What if you just literally wiped out the source? If you wiped out the source of drugs, it'd be real hard to get addicted to a drug that you can't get access to. How do you do it? Well, one, you start to seal the border off as we do. Number two is the only option. You take the cartels out. That, my friends, to me, is the only option. All right, listen. I'm gonna play you Tom Holman here in a second. Before we do that, though, let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I love it. I have 2 lines on this phone with 2 different networks. So no matter what city I'm in, if AT&T is better in this city and Verizon's better in this city, I have those networks on this phone. Only Patriot Mobile can do that for you. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. That is and the promo code is Grant for a free month service. You get a company that is a conservative activist organization, no doubt about it, that are literally doing everything they can, putting up money, putting up resources to secure conservatism in America. That's one thing I like, knowing part of my cell phone bill goes to that. 2, 100% U.S.-based customer service. I told you can choose what network you want to be on. You can upgrade your phone. You get a new phone. Switching is literally easy. Just call 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. And if you use the promo code GRANT, you get a free month service. What more could you ask for out of a mobile phone company? So you hear me talk about them all the time. Make this be the day. You know what? I'm not just going to listen to Grant anymore. I'm finally going to do it because I don't have to sacrifice anything to know that I'm helping my country out by being with Patriot Mobile and being part of the official cell phone provider of Stinchfield's Army. PatriotMobile.com/Grant, 972-PATRIOT. Tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. Use that promo code GRANT for a free month service. All right. Tom Holman talked about what do we do. I think this looks like Sean Ryan's set. I didn't watch the whole segment. Sean Ryan, I don't trust, folks. I don't. There's something off about this guy. But when he has people on that say interesting things, I'm more than willing to play it.
But I don't think the cartels are going to go away without U.S. involvement. President Trump did it. ISIS. We show we're really good at the away game. I think when it comes to criminal cartels, we got to play the away game. Stop the poison before it gets here. Then, of course, on this side of the border, we got to address the drive, the need for drugs like that. We got to address that. We're customers. So, but do I think the criminal cartels are going to go away without our involvement? Absolutely not.
I don't know.
Mexico has failed in decades to do it. And like I say, a lot of Mexico's corrupt.
They run Mexico. I mean, they're infiltrated.
Much of the Mexican military is corrupt. Much of the Mexican law enforcement is corrupt. Much of the Mexican government's corrupt.
Sounds like America. You got military corrupt. I don't know if our military is corrupt. I don't think so. But I'm sure there are people in positions of power in the United States that are profiting off of many of these defense contracts. I'm sure of it. The corruption in giant organizations is the norm, not the anomaly. Are we as corrupt as Mexico? No. Are we corrupt? Yes. But I do believe when he talks about the military in Mexico being corrupt, yes, many of the generals in Mexico are on the take from the cartels. Law enforcement, 100%. The federales, I believe, I would like to dig down deeper into the federales, the federal police, and see what the connection is to the cartels. I think if you dig down, you're going to see they, too, are corrupted. We know that there are politicians corrupted by the cartels. There's just too much money there. And money equals power. I don't care whether you're in the United States or whether you're in Mexico. You're taking the money in, you have the power. And the other spot where power comes is the voice. So in many respects, that's why we have power. That's where, look, do I have some power? Yes. Do I have as much power as Dan Bongino? No. Do I have more power than the average American citizen? Yes. I can call up almost any member of Congress office and I could get them on the phone if I wanted to, just simply because of what I do. Now, right or wrong, I don't know. But my point is the flow of information equals power, whether it's this podcast or whether it's the Real America's Voice show. if you're doing those things and you can drive the conversation, especially among conservatives. I can push conservative lawmakers in the direction I want to push them. That's power. So you have money and the flow of information. We know the cartels have money. And my belief is the cartels control the Mexican media as well, if not outright own them. Think about corruption in America. Those that are corrupt control the mainstream media in America. Why? Because as much as we know that CBS and NBC and MS Now and CNN are all morally bankrupt, we know that many Americans don't understand that. And many Americans still believe them. So those that are corrupt buy the commercials, the big pharmaceutical companies. You buy enough commercials, you control the messaging. They won't cross you. And the billionaires in America know that.
And many of them don't want to be corrupt. Well, you take the payoff and do what we tell you to, we'll kill you and your family, and they will. So, I think...
I got to interrupt this. This guy in the YouTube chat, maybe this is why I have no YouTube, maybe I have no YouTube audience. I want you to listen to his comment about Sean Ryan. I cannot believe you are not sure about Sean Ryan. He is exploring spirituality, family-oriented, I believe very honest and trustworthy. He comes from the CIA, okay? So first off, once you are a member of the CIA, God bless you if you're well-intentioned, but you're never fully out. Speaking of the mafia, the CIA is like the mafia. Once you're in, you're never out. I believe that Sean Ryan is a mouthpiece of the Central Intelligence Agency, okay? Why else would he squash so much of very important information? He squashes it. Do you remember the Cybertruck bomber? He pushed so much false information about the Cybertruck bomber. That was the Cybertruck guy who blew up his Cybertruck outside the Trump hotel in Las Vegas. None of it made sense. It was a setup job. Who set it up? I'm still not totally sure. I actually believe there was some Ukraine involvement in this. Sean Ryan's totally all over Ukraine. You're asleep at the wheel if you think he is totally just an innocent guy experiencing his spirituality. How do you burst onto the scene like Sean Ryan did? Had you ever heard of him? Now, maybe it'll sound like jealousy on my part, but I've been doing this for 20-something years. I've been doing conservative media for 15 years, all kinds of media for 30-plus years. He bounces onto the scene with a beautiful set. Nobody's ever heard of this guy. All of a sudden, millions of views. How the fuck do you think that happens? Unless you got oogles of money behind you. And who's going to put oogles of money behind you if you don't have a name whatsoever? This guy had no name unless the CIA puts money behind you. And you bring on people that they want heard. And you quietly sow doubt in the conservative movement and you create chaos in the conservative movement. That's what Sean Ryan does. He's one of these rabble-rousers that all he wants to do is create and sprinkle little chaos dust amongst conservatives. So don't bring me he's some kind of family guy exploring his spirituality. Give me a break, man. That's ridiculous and quite frankly, you're naive. All right? And earlier I was trying to be nice until you bring that kind of stupid nonsense. Look, the one thing I'll always be with you is straight. I'll always be a straight shooter with you. I don't like people where you don't know where they're coming from, where you don't know who's backing them. Look, I do my sponsors up there. You see who's backing me. Nobody crazy. I got Crush the Stock Market. I got Get Yourself Healthy. I got the best cell phone company in America. Sean Ryan, I don't even know if I see ads on there. Not a lot of them. That's fishy, man. It's fishy. Now, back to the task at hand. My apologies.
If we were to wipe the cartels off the face of the earth, Mexico would be such a better country. They'd be a safer country. A self-ruling country where cartels don't own the military and law enforcement and some government officials. I think in the long run, Mexico would be such a better country if they didn't have the cartels operating there. So I think President Trump did exactly the right thing, designating him terrorists. I think he's doing the right thing, offering Mexico his assistance and taking them out.
Mexico's got to want it now. What's funny is Tom Homan, you got to love the guy, but he's a lot like President Trump. Sometimes he states the obvious. I think Mexico would be a better country without the cartels. No kidding. Yes, the world would be a better place without the cartels. There's no doubt in my mind that we don't need the cartels anymore. Here's why. This is a Mexican senator who's got tremendous guts to come forward and basically declare what she declared on Fox News. Check it out.
Senator Tejas, welcome to Fox Noticias. I'm just going to get right to it. Is Mexico a narco state?
Yes, it is. And we all Mexicans know about it. And Mexicans are afraid of the alliance between the Mexican government and the cartels that have infested our nation.
So she's a wanted woman. If she goes on Fox News and declares these things, there are some really strong people in Mexico that are speaking out against this, that are truly Mexican heroes, and in many respects, American heroes, even though they're not Americans. By saying this, they're standing up for America. I would lump Oscar Ramirez into that group as well. He's a great correspondent for Real America's Voice. He'll be on the show tonight. He is so outspoken in uncovering the corruption inside the Mexican government being run by the cartels. He's a wanted man. I pray to Jesus every night that Oscar Ramirez stays safe, that the hand of Jesus puts a veil of protection over him and keeps him safe from these cartel members. And I will say the same prayer for Lily Tellez, the senator who's talking and speaking out against these cartel members.
Can you explain this alliance between the president, her party, the Morena party, and the cartels?
Yes, the party has financed, has given, the cartels have given so much money to these politicians, narco politicians of Morena, to get into office, to get the power. So they protect. The Mexican government protects the cartels. That is why President Sheinbaum doesn't want the strong American leadership to help Mexico defeat the cartels. And also Sheinbaum doesn't want the rest of the world to know what is happening here in Mexico. We are on the steps to be the next Venezuela. She is aligned with Venezuela's dictator, with Cuba, and we are losing our country. They have destroyed our Republican institutions, the democratic state, and we must, I think we all Mexicans want and welcome the support of the United States to assist Mexican people against the cartels that have us all in this crisis with the traffic in fentanyl and migrants.
I want you to assess what she just said. And before you say, who gives a shit about Mexico, third world country, south of the border, I want you to think about what she said. One, they're our neighbor. So what happens to them, not being our neighbor, like, oh, we have to be kind to our neighbors, which of course we do. But they're our neighbor, so what happens economically to them does have an effect on us. Two, they are a tremendous trading partner with us. And she just said they are close to going the way of Venezuela, close to going the way of Cuba, having a dictatorship take over Mexico. That would be devastating for the United States for that to happen. We don't need Mexico as much as Mexico needs us. And in fact, we are Mexico's daddy, okay? Just from tourism alone. And this is going to put a huge dent in the tourism industry. Think about if you're an American citizen, forget about tourism, and you own property in Puerto Vallarta. I mean, I would think about buying property. I love Cabo. It's so far, and I've done it all. I've done Cabo. I've done Puerto Vallarta, Punta Mita, especially. That's outside of Puerto Vallarta. Cancun. All are great in their own right, but nothing beats Cabo. Would I ultimately buy someplace in Cabo? Absolutely. Now with stuff like this, I don't know. What happens to the value of your real estate? Think about in Puerto Vallarta. If you paid $3 million for a house on the water in Puerto Vallarta or Punta Mite, what is that house worth today with the cartels going hog wild? This is devastating what's happening for the Mexican people because you cut tourism out, forget about it. Many of those areas of Mexico are dead. I should do a look and see what the portion of tourism is for the gross domestic product of Mexico, and I bet you it's a large portion. Here's the senator again.
So her response to this, and I know this because her spokesperson came on our show in response to your interview, and they say, well, we just turned over 26 cartel members. We're working, we're sharing intelligence. What are they not doing? And why is she so resistant? She sort of speaks out of two sides of her mouth. We're working with you, Trump, and then she's chastising you for saying we need more help from the United States to crush the cartels.
Because she really doesn't want the help of the United States. She is lying to Mexican people, telling Mexican people that the United States will get in control of the whole country.
Right.
I never listened such nonsense from President Trump. What we have listened is that President Trump wants to help Mexican people against the cartels. Mexican people are suffering. So what they do is very, very little. We have huge narco politicians here in the Senate, in the presidents, governors. Mexico is a very dangerous place.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because you are speaking very bluntly, very clearly about Mexico being a narco state and the alliance and the connections to the president of Mexico. Are you afraid for your life?
Yes, I am afraid. And the president has threatened me to proceed against me with criminal prosecution, to get me out of the Senate and get me in jail, just because I told you in this space and Fox News what is the reality of our country with the cartels. The cartels are dominating everything here in Mexico. They are in all the offices of the government, in the states, in the cities, and in the national government. So, of course, I am afraid, but I want people to know I will not step back. And I pray under God's guidance that we, the United States and Mexico, must work together to defeat the cartels and to get freedom for our country, for Mexico, to stop it from being the next Venezuela.
Man, oh man. I like this lady. I'll tell you what. Senator Lily Tellez. Remember that name. I don't even want to say what. Two things are going to happen. I'll just say it. She's going to end up dead. It's the bottom line. Cartels are not going to be happy with what she's saying. There's a real strong possibility she could be assassinated. She's strong-willed in what she's saying. Is she provided security? I don't know. Do you even trust the security at this point, the way that the cartels have their mitts in every section of government in Mexico? She's basically out there on her own. Or maybe one day you see this woman run for president of Mexico. I told you I would check on the gross domestic product. It's about 10% tourism. I thought it would be higher than that, but when you think about gross domestic product and what that means, 10% of any portion of any industry to be 10% of your GDP, that's a very, very large portion. That's what tourism is in Mexico. Now, this is in Spanish. This is Sheinbaum. After the cartel violence. Now, remember, you would think that she had a role in taking out El Mencho. But then she says this. If you're watching, you're going to have to see this. If not, I'll sum it up for you if you're listening on the podcast, okay?
Regresar a la guerra contra el narco no es opción. No.
Returning to the war against the cartels is not an option.
No es opción. Primero, porque está fuera del marco de la ley. Todos estos de la derecha que se llenan la boca de las palabras Estado de Derecho y defienden la guerra contra el narco. La guerra contra el narco está fuera de la ley porque, como lo dije o lo he dicho en varias ocasiones, es permiso para matar.
to kill without
sin
any
ningún
trial.
juicio.
So I believe she's wrong here. She wants to give due process to the cartel members. When they're dubbed a terrorist organization, you now lose due process. Now, under what circumstance would the United States military start to just come in and kill American citizens? Can you think of any circumstance where that would be the case? Boy, it's pretty hard, right? And so it's interesting to do this exercise to put yourself in her shoes and her country where, okay, what situation would I be okay if the federal government just started going in and killing American citizens because they were killing us? They were waging war on us. Antifa is awful, but they haven't escalated the war to the point of, I mean, they have certainly killed people, but I mean mass killings. So Antifa falls outside the line of that. We're not going to blow up Antifa headquarters. MS-13 is actively killing American citizens, but I don't think we're actively there yet either. Now, I would say if you had a compound of people who declared war against the American people that had armed, okay, and I mean armed to the hilt, armories filled with weapons, and they've declared war. They've announced that they're going to use the weapons, and the people living there on this compound have said they're going to do this, and then they've gone and done it on occasion. Could I see you taking out that compound? I'm going to give you a maybe. That's probably the closest thing we have, but the reality is we don't have cartels in this country, so we don't really have to worry about that prospect. Not yet, anyway. I do believe that the cartels are making great inroads in the United States because it's so hard to operate from outside our borders. They're going to have to operate from inside our borders in order to make money. So that is a huge concern. But we don't have a militarized group in the United States like you just saw here. I mean, there's nothing like this in the United States that we have. It goes on and on and on. So yes, if there was an army amassing in the United States that declared war against us and was actively killing us, I think then, without due process, you would be within your rights to go take them out. It's a tough decision for any president to make, Mexico or the United States. Luckily, we're not at that point yet. Yet. Do you hear me? Yet. All right. Real quick, let me tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. Do you have Ultimate Spike Detox? Ultimate Spike Detox is designed to get that spike protein out of your system. The spike protein is what's doing the damage to people, including, I believe, being a cancer spreader. So Ultimate Spike Detox removes that spike protein from your system, whether it's just from COVID or whether it's from the vaccine. The vaccine is what increased huge numbers of the spike protein in people's systems. So Ultimate Spike Detox is what you need to be on. It's a daily supplement. Then there's this new product, Shield, which is a cancer preventative developed by Dr. Kelly Victory. And this is literally designed to limit your chances of getting cancer. Peptide-based botanicals that have a proven anti-cancer result. Amazing, amazing stuff. So here's what I want you to do. Go to twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off and peruse the website. Really just go there. There's a whole slew of daily supplements. And then, of course, there's the prescription medication kits, which have them on hand. I almost had to use it. I got that freaking norovirus over the weekend. I was down pretty much for the count Saturday and Sunday. 24 hours, though. My fever went to 102, which I think is a lot for an adult. And then I was throwing up Saturday night. That's so gross. I haven't thrown up in years. So that's not fun. I knew, though, that I didn't need antibiotics because I figured it was the norovirus. But there was an anti-nausea medicine that I had in one of my prescription medication kits that I did take, and it was great. I didn't have to go to the doctor and go find it. I had it in my prescription medication kit from the wellness company, this anti-nausea medication. So go to twc.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off, and you and your family will be safer and maybe more importantly, healthier because of it. All right. Let's continue our talk on the narco terrorists. Where am I? And then last, I'll finish it up with this and then I'll move on. This is how bad it's gotten. So they literally are going into the gas station and check this out. They scare the guy away and then they start spraying gas everywhere and they're about to light this place on fire. Okay? What did I not get all of it? I can't believe it. Yeah, I must have only gotten a piece of it. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, they light the place on fire. I apologize about that. They light it up on fire. All right, now to the other story of the day, which tomorrow President Trump will offer up his State of the Union. And I can't believe we're a year from this now again. A year. I mean, President Trump's been in office 13 months. It's going too fast. Maybe time this guy goes by too fast. And then I think of all the things he's gotten done, and yet here I am. He'd probably be mad at me if I said we still haven't gotten enough done. President Trump has gotten everything he can get done, but we need Congress to help back some of this stuff up, and they're not. But anyway, my point to all this is, what more do people want from President Trump? Because you now have Democrats who are going to boycott the State of the Union. And I'd ask why. Why are you boycotting the State of the Union? You're upset about ICE? You're upset about stopping the flow of drugs, getting illegal aliens out of here, violent criminals off the streets, making it a safer place, gas prices coming down, our enemies on the run, interest rates coming down, inflation coming down. What do you want? Peace deals across the globe. And yet, Chucky Schumer says this.
The president's speaking at the State of the Union on Tuesday. A number of Democrats have already said they're not going to attend. What is your position on this?
As of now, because I respect the whole institution, but I don't respect Donald Trump one bit, I will go. But the bottom line is there are a lot of my colleagues who aren't going to go.
What do you think about that?
I think that's fine with me. Everyone should make his own choice. As the Democratic leader, I am going to go as of now, but who knows what will happen in the next few days.
Oh, really? What could happen in the next few days that you decide not to go? Your radical leftist lunatic followers put the screws to you to make you not go? Which happens to be, I look, many of you may disagree with me on this, but I think this radical left is 10 to 15% of the Democrat Party. The rest of the Democrat Party are just idiots. But the radical Looney Tune left is 10 to 15%, and these lawmakers listen to them because they're the squeakiest of the wheels. So here's Pencil Neck saying he's not going. Schiff I'm talking about.
Donald Trump is violating the law and Constitution. He is ignoring court orders. He has weaponized the Justice Department to go after his enemies. He is letting loose ICE troops in our streets that are getting people killed. I will not be attending the State of the Union. I've never missed one. I have always gone both to inaugurations and to States of the Union, but we cannot treat this as normal. This is not business as usual. I will not give him the audience he craves for the lies that he tells. I'll be outside the Capitol with Midas touch and move on for the people's State of the Union, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday.
You're a loser. And again, it doesn't take real smarts to just lob insults at people, to just call them names and don't say anything about this. But so I will do that, but I will also say something about it. So I'll be intellectually lazy and just call him pencil neck, low IQ, dope, idiot, radical, all these names, no business in the United States Senate, all those names, I can call them. But let me give you the reason why this is the wrong move. There is an idea of respect for the institution, but in the end, nobody has much respect anymore. Don't you want to hear what your political foe has to say? In his case, it's an enemy. Don't you want to hear what they have to say? You have an opportunity to look your political foe in the eye, hear their argument, and then make an assessment after it. Like, that's how the political system works. Turning your back on conversation, turning your back on listening to your political foe is not the right move. I'm telling you right now, if I was in the United States Congress and Adam Schiff, of all people, was president of the United States, God forbid that should ever happen, I would go to the State of the Union. I'm not going to boycott it. I'm going to go, and I'm going to listen to him, and I'm going to stare him down as he's talking. But they won't do that. At least there is some common sense. John Fetterman, he's a Democrat from Pennsylvania.
And I do plan to go to the State of the Union. And then I do hope all the other Democrats that choose to come, that we don't do the same kinds of things that happened at the last year. I mean, it was really undignified. And just the thing, no, I don't care who the president is. Don't yell and disrupt that. It's like you really should respect the office. The office. You don't have to like the occupant, but respect that.
I agree. Look, it's part of our political process. We pay you to take part in the political process. Yes, we. The people of California just don't pay Adam Schiff. All of us do. The salaries of a United States senator comes out of the fund of the United States government. We all pay into that. You're a senator from California, you work for me, I'm in Texas. You're a senator from New York, they work for you if you're in Iowa. We pay that. We pay their salary to take part in the political process. You're basically not showing up for work. You may not like part of the job, but it is your job to do it. And it is your job to be respectful when you go. I'm not a big fan of, even when Joe Biden is screaming, you're a liar, all that. It's you're trying to garner clicks and likes. Just how about you listen to the man? And then afterwards, you can get in front of the cameras and give your best argument. That's how the political process is supposed to work. In fact, that's how it should work. Is that how it works? No, unfortunately. And I think in the end, we need to change that. We really, really do. All right, folks. That is going to do it for us today. I've got a phone call coming up I got to take at the top of the hour, and I got to get ready for that. And did any Republicans skip out on Biden's State of the Union? That's a good question. I will look into it for tonight. My assumption is probably, and I would criticize them for doing that just as much as I would criticize Democrats for doing it. You know what it's about. It's about getting news for yourself. It's about getting publicity for yourself. Now, I get if you're a member of Congress, one of 300 plus, you got to set yourself apart from the rest, so you pull some stunts. But not doing your job is not really the stunt that I want you to pull. I appreciate that, Skunk. Thank you very, very much. And I will see you. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm just looking at some of the comments. If there's anything else that I need to comment on here, it doesn't look like it. Stay away from the norovirus, though. I'll tell you that much. The good news is 24, 48 hours. It's over. But again, I was holed up, man. I guess good thing it happened on a weekend. I haven't missed work in years. Not the podcast, not the TV show. I think the radio show I called in sick once or twice over the course of 4 years. But I never was committed to that show as much as I was to this podcast and the TV show. So that's why. But TV show, including Newsmax days, not one time did I call in sick, including when I had the worst bout of COVID. Right when COVID hit, I had the worst case of it, and I still did the show. You got to take a lot to get me down, man. A lot, because I'm not one of those wuss bags that call in sick all the time. All right. I guess Shelly's going to do a raid with us today. Thank you, Shelly, for that. Our captain, our moderator, great work. And, folks, to all of you, Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thank you. We'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget the website, GrantStinchfield.com. That's GrantStinchfield.com. Thanks for watching, everybody.